Welcome back, children. Now we are going to have vocabulary part discussed in this class. And the first question, in the review of Maya Bazaar, the expression language and custom has two words linked with the conjunction and. We also use expressions like cup and saucer, near and dear, etc. These pairs of words joined by a conjunction and are called binomials. Children, you might have discussed this binomial theorem in your mathematics. Binomial means two. Any two words joined by a conjunction which always go together. We say cup and saucer, not saucer and cup. Reverse is not possible here. Part and parcel, not parcel and part. Up and down, not down and up. Okay, children, this kind of usage of the words or expressions in the word, two words joined by a conjunction, they are called binomials. In these expressions, the word order never changes. For example, we say near and dear and not dear and dear. It is never possible to write this combination in the reverse order. Reverse order does not apply in any binomials. Here are some sentences with binomials underlined. You can see that there, children. First one, sports is a part and parcel of education. Their meanings are given there in the next exercise when there is a matching exercise. From the sentences here, you have to understand the meaning of the underlined binomial and then find out the meaning and compare or match them in column B. Sport is a part and parcel of education. Sentence 2, the new theatre is rough and ready. 3, music is not only Rahman's bread and butter but also his passion. 4th, the film industry is expanding in leaps and bounds. Number 5, the customer can pick and choose anything he likes. It is for him to decide. 6, give and take policy is always helpful. Number 7, Ray gave his heart and soul to reading books. Number 8, he stood by me through thick and thin. The main goods were shifted first, then the odds and ends were taken. See the binomials underlined there in those sentences. Now match the following binomials with their meanings and use them in your own sentences. Part and parcel. You can see that part and parcel means what? An integral part. H. First one is H. Number 2, rough and ready means what? Almost finished. Means ready to occupy. Almost finished. Leaps and bounds. You can see in G there, big leaps. It is given there. Big leaps. 4th one, bread and butter is livelihood. Music was not only Rahman's bread and butter but also his passion. Number 5, pick and choose. A large choice. When you have a large choice, of course, choice is the noun form of choose. So, pick and choose, you have to write the word a large choice as the meaning. That is F. 6th one, give and take. Help one another. You must adopt a give and take policy. Help one another. Number 7, heart and soul. Dedicated. Heart and soul. Thick and thin. 8th one. C. Difficult times. Through thick and thin. He stood by us through thick and thin means through difficult times. Number 9, odds and ends means unimportant things. You can see in the ninth sentence, main goods were shifted first, then the odds and ends were taken. More unimportant things there. Very important exercise. You remember, read repeatedly and remember the meanings there of these binomials. In the second bit here, read the following conversation that took place in the classroom of a film institute. Just like you have classrooms there, sitting there in the classroom and discussing with your teachers anything that you have got a doubt about, there is a conversation taking place between a professor and his students there in a film institute. Let us see that. Professor Paul, as a part of our diploma in filmmaking is the topic that was discussed there. We have discussed certain aspects of film technology, right? I hope by now all of you are familiar with those concepts. If you have some more queries, means doubts or questions, we can discuss them. Now the class is open for questions. So now Professor Paul is inviting the students to ask their doubts or raise questions that they have got doubts about. Rishi stands and he asks, I think what is included and excluded in an individual shot is called a frame. Am I right, sir? Whatever is, as already I told you this meaning, whatever is included and excluded in an individual shot or scene is known as a frame. Professor Paul says, PP means Professor Paul. Yes, you are. What is brought to the viewer is called a frame. Whatever you see there on the screen, whatever is brought to the viewer or the audience, it is called a frame. Prithvi, which shot is used to show a happy reunion, sir? Generally, in every movie you see, at the end of the movie, there will be a happy reunion of all the family members. A happy reunion. How that, which shot is used to show such kind of happy reunion? Then Professor Paul says it is called arc. A-R-C, arc. This is a shot in which the camera moves in an arc around the subject. Means that all the stars assemble there, all the actors and actresses, because they have got a happy reunion. All the family members and all the friends, they all together join there. So the camera moves in an arc fashion like this among the subjects, around the subjects means artists. Any more questions? Then Professor Paul continues like this. Here is a list of camera shots that helps you to have a clear idea about different shots in filmmaking. Because it's a film institute, the professor was teaching the students different types of shots and angles. He is giving a list here for the students of a list of camera shots. That list helps them to have a clear idea about different shots in filmmaking. For example, shots and angles, you can see that there is a table in the box, sorry. First one is establishing shot. It is usually from a greater distance to establish the setting. Means familiarizes the scene or setting. You can see that there in the next picture, in page number 121, you can see Eiffel Tower taken from a long distance, a long shot. That is what is called establishing shot, because it is usually from a greater distance to establish the setting. So there you have tried establishing shot like that. Close up, you might have known this. We are not talking about toothpaste here. Close up refers to the image occupying at least 80% of the frame. Sometimes you can see on the screen a person being shown very close there, very big on the screen, almost occupying 80% of the screen's width. That is what is called a close-up shot. Third one, two shot. Two people in the frame are showed equally. You might have seen several movies in which you can see the hero or the villain, or the hero or his father, or the hero or the heroine are shown equally. Two people, that's what two shot. Only two people are seen there. Fourth one, the Dutch angle, means it is neither vertical nor horizontal, it's oblique. You can see that there in the bottom picture, second picture in the page number 120, it is neither vertical nor horizontal, it is oblique shot. The Eiffel Tower is taken like that. Fifth one, bird's eye shot. It is shot directly and vertically down the subject. Down at the subject. You can see in page number 121, the last shot is a bird's eye shot. Means it is taken vertically, directly and vertically down at the subject. It is taken from a very high altitude. High angle means what? Camera is above the subject. It creates an impression that the subject is weak or powerless. When something is when camera is kept above the subject or shown above the subject, it creates an impression that the subject is weak or less important, powerless. Whereas low angle is, the camera is placed below the subject. You can see that here. The first one is below angle, low angle shot only. It is placed below the subject appears larger than normal. When it is kept like that, it is larger than normal shot. Sometimes in the movies you might have seen some people appearing very high, almost touching the sky. That means the camera is kept there at the bottom, low angle, so that the image looks larger than it really is. Eighth one, rack focus. Here the focus is shifted from one subject to the other, where the subject that is not in the focus is blurred. Very important, you can see rack focus. Sometimes you might have seen in the movies, when a particular person is speaking, that person is projected, the other image to whom he is speaking is blurred there. When that person starts speaking, this person becomes blurred there. That is what is called rack shot, rack focus. Footage is the total exposed film is called footage. You know, CCTV footage like that. But total image, the total exposed film, whatever is the length of the film, whatever is exposed there or shown, it is called footage. Whereas montage is different images are assembled to build an impression. Different images brought together to build an impression about something. That is what is called montage. So these are the different shots and angles taught by Professor Paul to his students there in a classroom of the Film Institute. Now you are asked to name these visuals given here, identify their features and label them. You may choose the labels given above. From this particular box, the words you can choose for these shots. Already I discussed them with you. Let us move on to grammar part now, children, in which we are going to discuss modal verbs or modals. We talked about regular verbs, irregular verbs, we talked about helping verbs. Now we are going to talk about modal verbs. What are modals? Let us see the conversation between two artists here. There is a conversation between two film artists, Shankar and Shanti. They are conversing with each other. Shanti, yesterday the ABC movies called me up seeking my opinion. Shanti, what is that? Shankar, they have a role for a heroine in the film that is going to set very soon. They wanted to offer that role to you. Will you accept it? See that will is given there in bold letters. Look at every dialogue there. Some words are printed in bold letters. All those bold letters, bold lettered words are modal verbs. Shanti, did they really mean it? I have two doubts about it. First, can I do it? The second, should I do it? Shankar, yes, you can certainly do it. Regarding your second doubt, I think it's not that you should do it, you must do it. See how the words are used there, modal verbs. Shanti, why? Shankar, we may like some roles and others we may not, but we accept them for the sake of our career. Shanti says, like that. Shankar, certain roles we should accept for the sake of satisfaction. That's why I said you must do it. Shanti, then I take your word as final to me, I shall do it. Tell the ABC movies that I have accepted the offer. So the words given in bold letters in the above conversation perform different functions. They are called modal auxiliaries or modals or modal verbs. Modal auxiliaries or modals. See the difference, don't get confused between this modal. These modals are the models who work there in advertisements. They are not, this model is different. This is a modal. M-O-D-A-L is pronounced as model. This is modal. So, these underlined words in this conversation are known as modal auxiliaries or modals. Their functions are given below. Functions means what? What exactly the role that they perform in different situations or different sentences, they are given there. On the left side, you can see the modals. On right side, against them, opposite to them, their functions are given. For example, shall. Shall, for the function of shall, using shall in a sentence is obligation, offer, order, suggestion. Should, obligation or advice. Whereas can performs the functions of ability, possibility, or permission. Could is used to make a request, suggestion, permission, possibility, ability. Will is used to talk about certainty, intention, futurity, purpose. Would is used to offer preference, past habit, future of the past. May is used to talk about permission, possibility, wish. Might is used to talk about possibility, and must is used to talk about compulsion or inference. Some of those words I think you are all familiar with. For example, obligation means duty. When you offer something, shall we go out to have a cup of tea? That is what is called a suggestion or offer. Shall is used to indicate a suggestion also. Shall we go out now to watch a movie? Shall we go on a morning walk every day? It can be used to order also. You know the meaning of order. Should means obligation, you should do it, or advice. Obligation means duty, advice, it can be used to give advice. You should be very careful while crossing the road. It's an advice given to you. You should do this, it's an obligation. Can talks about ability. I can ride a bike, I cannot drive a car. See, the ability to do something. And you can also say possibility. You can go now, permission that is. Possibility also we can express using the modal can. Could is used to make a request. Could you please post this letter for me? Could you please give your notes for reference? And in the same way, could is used to give a suggestion also. Could is used to talk about permission. Could I go out please? You are asking for permission there. Could you give, could we go out now? Possibility, just like can is, could is the past form of can, so we can use that to talk about possibility and ability also. As we saw there in can, will is used to talk about certainty, I will go there, we are talking about certainty. And my intention, I will, my will means my intention. Will is also used to talk about futurity, means in future tense forms we use will. And of course, purpose. What is the purpose of your coming? Will you come with me? To meet my parents? Will you come with me to meet the principal? Like that. But the purpose of your asking. Would is used to offer something. Would you like to have a cup of coffee? Like that. Preference. I would rather go out. I would rather, you might have heard this one. I would rather meet a tiger there in the forest than having the leak in this house, like that the woman says in the Brave Potter lesson. Past habit. I would play cricket when I was at the college. Whenever you talk about a past habit, you use two expressions there, used to and would. This you learned in 8th class. These two expressions used to talk about past habits. Future of the past. What is the future? Future form. Will is the present form. Would is the future of the past. May I come in? Permission. You are asking for permission. May I go out? It may rain. Possibility. It's cloudy. It may rain. May God bless you. You are wishing there somebody. May God bless you. Might indicates possibility. It might rain because it is thickly clouded. There are thick black clouds there in the sky. It might rain. Must is a compulsion. You must do it means there is no option for you. You have to do it. That is all. That is what is called inference. Inference means what? Indication. What inferences can you draw from this particular story? Like that we asked. So with this, we come to the end of the discussion of modals and their functions, children. Some important points about modals are given there. Read them through and then we will be discussing the remaining part in the next class. Okay. The remaining part writing task we will be discussing in the next class, children. Thank you.